Hey, what's going on? It's your favorite warrant officer, Chief T here. It's not after three, but it's another beautiful day. It's another great day. We back for round two, talking about finances on National Financial Planning Day. And I got my boy B Woods, Mr. Power Move 06. Hey, what's going on, sir? How you doing today?
Hey, thanks for having me. Thanks for having me. You already know what it is.
Hey, we about to get into it, man. We've been sharing a lot of information, trying to encourage people to take care of their finances. Let me go ahead and adjust my audio. It's a little low on my end. Or this mall is pretty loud. Can you hear me good though?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear, Jason.
I think I done turned myself down. But let me pull this. Okay, that's it. How's that? That's that.
I can hear you.
All right. So we've been talking a lot about finances today, and what I noticed is that the information that we're sharing often taught in schools, is it? Not often taught in school, and we was briefly just talking about some things in the studio, right?
We were.
Hey, so let's dive into that. So one of the things I was talking about is how we're right now at the beginning of the fiscal year, right? The beginning of the fiscal year, for those that don't know, don't really deal with the fiduciaries and anything like that. You got to understand that the fiscal year, I'm a DoD employee, I'm in the Army, starts in October 1st. So during the period where we're trying to budget, we focus on building that budget prior to October 1st, right? Tracking what I'm putting down. What
Facts.
happens is throughout the course of a year, as it gets closer to September, you got a budget crunch. And what we do is we try to make sure that we got all our ducks in a row, everything's paid for, everything's submitted. That period between 1st of September and 31 September is a period where we like, look, this was our budget last year. We crunched the numbers. We did everything we need to do. Now we're at a period to where we got to spend all this surplus. Otherwise, our budget will decrease next year, which makes sense. You want to continue using the same amount of money, or if not, you want to use more so your budget increase if you're a business and you're getting funding. However, for individuals with jobs, you can't budget like that. What I was saying in our last segment was that you can't live in you can't have a fixed income and live in a variable society. Everything's volatile. You got stocks going up and down. Um, you got price of gas and goods and services going up and down, but your paycheck staying the same. You got to position yourself to where you can pour into yourself more income streams, or you can outpace inflation and taxation. And that's what we're talking about. And Brian, won't you enlighten us a little bit about some moments of reflection that you got while I brought up that the fiscal year and how that really ties into most Americans we don't really pay attention to.
Okay. Hey, so Jason, you know what was awesome, man? We were talking about the bloody mess. And as I was sitting there listening to you drop that serious information on how people deal with their finances, something clicked in my mind that, growing up, we were always thinking about the beginning of our year as children and people in school that our year starts at the beginning of August. And that's a true thing for most teachers. It starts in August. So we were conditioned to always look forward to August for those 12 years that we were institutionalized in school. But when we got out of school and some of us went to college, college started around the same time as that. But when you get into the business world, realizing that, hey, I was a fellow, service member, I served, and our physical year started in October. And that's when all the monies were allocated for how much funds we were going to have for that year. And now that I'm over to the other side and I'm in the business world, actually helping a lot of people financially, I'm realizing that, hey, that time frame versus the time frame in the civilian sector, they start their year off in January. That, hey, I'm thinking about school and I'm thinking about the civilian sector work, as a W-2 worker. But in reality, in order for me to get ahead, I need to understand how the science of the business world is working financially starting in October, with this awesome day happen to be, World Financial Planners Day. This is the mindset you need to get yourself into for you to get out of that rat race of systematically losing financially. And that what was brought to my attention when Jason was having this conversation about the bloody mess. That When you step over into the compound world, then you know what October, the month October starts. And as you proceed into the months, these next 90 to 100 some days is going to be the most crucial in jump starting the best financial you financially, because think about it, most big businesses right now, they're targeting our pockets for the next 90 days, knowing that they're going to go hard in the first quarter. So I'm going to send it back over to Jason. Jason know what we talked about behind the scenes. Hey Jason, let them fulfill what we talking about with this next 90 days, how crucial it is for them to get started and never look back.
Hey man, you said a mouthful right there, but you're right. You're absolutely correct. Because the thing is, big business is gearing up. Most of us, before I got involved with the extra digital movement and make wealth real financial, I never really paid attention to big business. But think about it. Think about that. Big business are the entities that's designed to take more of our money out of our pocketbooks, and they do that by creating a major spending holiday of some sort every single month. Think about it. We're about to go into we're in October right now, right, Brian? We're in October right now,
Right.
and believe it or not, the biggest one of the biggest spending holidays happens one day a year, but yet it has enough capital and enough profits to where business owners who market during this month, this Halloween month, they're able to pay for a year's salary. They're able to earn a year's salary and a year's expenses just within 1 month, technically 1 day. And so what we was talking about is how you got October, November, and December. You have Halloween, Thanksgiving, and Christmas that's coming up. But they're the first, that's the first quarter of the new fiscal year. And businesses understand that this is the most lucrative time period for them of the year, while most Americans understand it's the time that we spend the most money. Well, the question is, why are we spending the most money? Why are we spending the most money and big businesses benefiting from it? If it's the end of the year and we're going into the new year, see, the funny thing is, it was one of our business partners, Nico Coley, brought it up this morning on her live, and it really got me thinking about it. But it's funny how it's another cycle that the economic system employs upon us. Because think about it, you spend all this money from um, October to December going into the new year. Then they want you to create a New Year's resolution. So they create another way for you to spend more money. Because if you ate all this food from Halloween, you got the candy. From Thanksgiving, you got the turkeys and all the sides and all that other stuff. Then Christmas, you got all these desserts. Now you spent the money on the gifts, you spent the money creating the meals, and you spent the money doing the trick or treating and the costumes. Now here comes big men to say, hey, you need to create a New Year's resolution. So I need you to go get the treadmills. I need you to start the gym memberships. Oh, you thought we was done with you? No, we're gonna start your new calendar year, our second quarter, our second quarter, going into our second quarter, leading off of our first, October, November, December, leading off to our second quarter. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep the momentum going on you spending more so we can keep and gain more of your money, even in this first new year. So while you was talking about saving money, making money and growing money, well, you also was talking about getting healthy. So it's gonna cost you some money, and we're gonna give you a reason to spend more at the not only at the banks and getting loans and stuff, but now we're gonna position you to have to spend more money on your health and your wealth, and it just keeps going on and on. But we never really pay attention to it. Think about it. After January with New Year's, then you got February. Well, guess what we're talking about? Flowers, hearts, and candy. Some of us don't even like flowers, but we're gonna get it for somebody because if the fellas don't buy something for the ladies get upset. But it's never the other way around. Why is it if the fella don't get nothing, the fella can't get upset? I digress. I digress. But then you got March. You got spring break, so that's another period. You just got off of holiday leave. Now we're going back on leave. Now we're going back on vacation, and that's when they market Cancun, the beaches. That's when they target the college students and the high school kids. So parents are spending more to keep the kids at home, or they're spending more to to take their kids on a vacation or somewhere during that period. And then guess what we got? April. April showers bring May flowers, but it also is the same month that we celebrate Easter. This month is the same period of time where people are going out buying new suits. People don't even go to church for the whole year, but this is the one time you got to get the nice suit, you got to get the dress down, just so you can look good to impress somebody else. Let's break that down real quick, Brian. Understand this: the middle class and the poor buy things for the appearance of wealth, while the wealthy people, they don't even dibble and dabble in that. They buy
Wow.
things because they want to buy stuff. But yet you got the poor and middle class. We constantly go buy stuff to have the appearance of wealth. Think about it. You get you. The sad thing is, let's talk about mismanagement of money. You can't talk about financial planning if you don't look at the mismanagement of funds. I'm gonna say this and then remind me to get back to the army on the mismanagement of funds or the military. But look,
Ooh,
think about it. When we talk about the mismanagement of funds, we go buy a house because that's what we've been taught. The American dream is to own a house with a white picket fence. Yes, yes. The
it's
second
true.
thing is we're told, you need to be married. Get married because two is better than one, which is a great principle. Some of us don't need to get married because we're not ready to adhere to the advice of somebody more knowledgeable in the subject matter than others. I'm not gonna say that again because that was a mouthful. But understand that when two become one, you have to listen to the other in order for y'all to become that one, which may be that the other person thinks differently about finances. See, my mentor taught us this. There are some things that we were taught growing up, our experiences, that we have to unlearn. And there's other things that we need to learn. But you can't learn some things if you don't unlearn some things because it's a constant battle in your mental because those two things just don't agree. Do you agree? See, a lot of people was taught that marriage is great, but yet they're struggling with that concept because they find that the more relationships they get into, the more likely they don't really want to be in a relationship that includes a wedding band. You know what I'm saying? I digress. But mismanagement of funds. Think about it. You get the house. Well, you get the wife. You get the spouse. You get the husband. You get the house. You got kids. You get all that stuff, and you got a good job, right? Well, you want more from that job. I can't find one military person in my sphere of influence or even around, no matter where I go, they don't want to make it to the next rank. To me, they don't make no sense. You want to make the next rank, and why do you want that? So you can make more pay. I don't care what way you slice that pie, you're looking to gain more income. There's no person on their job that's wanting to work their job 20 plus years and get the same income from the day they join. Does that make sense? Okay,
That's
if that's true, you type that's me in the comments and you go ahead and tell your boss, your employer that, hey, I like my paycheck where it is. Don't worry about going up. Give the raise to somebody else and see what happens. Nobody's gonna do that. If you're not paying attention, you probably wrote it in the chat. I hope not. But understand nobody's gonna do that. Why? Because more is better. So what do we do when we get the raise? We go out and get better. But why? Why do we need better? I'm gonna go get another car because I paid off the car I had. Now I got more money. I'm gonna go get a bigger house because the house I got, it was good, but it's not great. So I'm gonna go get another house. So what are you doing? You're going to go get another car note. You're going to go get another mortgage. So you mean to tell me the first 30 years of your mortgage wasn't good enough? You need to be in debt some more? You mean to tell me the car you had still wasn't going to get you from point A to B and back to A? See, you got to get back to A. You can't just go to A to B. If you go to A and B, the car going to be broke, Brian. But you got to get back to A. You telling me the stuff you had wasn't good enough to keep you going to the next level, financially savvy enough to where you're not in debt. See, you got to understand everything's a cycle and it's trying to make us slaves to the borrow instead of lenders. See, when you constantly paying out that interest to the banks, you're in bondage to the banks. They can come and take your property. They can come and take everything you own. And then what? What do you have? There's a then what. We was talking about then what earlier. If you missed it, go back and look at the earlier half of this segment where we talk about people retiring and then what? They don't have nothing left. They don't really set up. They don't retire. They just change careers.
nice.
But understand, mismanagement of funds. Just because you make more doesn't mean you need to go get more. Type that in the comments. Just because you make more doesn't mean you have to go get more. How about we invest the increase? How about we invest the difference? Think about this. We work with an organization that shows people how to save, make, and grow money. One thing that we talk about a lot of is cash flow. Cash flow is measured in time, where income is measured in dollars. If your cash flow is negative, you can never see yourself investing because you got to figure out where you're gonna get the cash. Yeah, you got to figure out where you're gonna get cash. You can't get the cash because you're constantly spending it on frivolous things. See, wealthy people go out and find assets. They either buy, purchase, or grow assets, so those assets pay for their toys. See, when you got assets paying for your toys, you got a constant cycle of finances flowing in to where your assets produce with the excess. Whereas most of us, we're trying to live off the paycheck and we're living paycheck to paycheck. We're trying to splurge, but we live in paycheck to paycheck. There's nothing left. So we're by the appearance of being wealthy, the nice cars. I talked to some people the other day. A lot of network marketers to appear or to have that lifestyle, they go out and rent things. They go rent the house. They go rent the cars to have the appearance. But when you work with a organization like the Extra Digit Movement, there's no need for an appearance of wealth. We show
Nah.
you how to get the dollars back from the four entities, those four roadblocks: taxes, debt, big business, and inflation. And then we show you how to deposit that cash flow into an asset to where you have a continuous cash flow. We end the bondage by putting you into a position of wealth to where you never have to go back to owing Peter and paying Paul. Owing Peter and paying Paul. We ain't talking about just robbing Peter and paying. You ain't got to owe nobody. Be owe no one but love. That's what we want to talk about. So excellent, man. When we talking about fiscal years and things, mismanagement of funds. So get back to this army subject, man. When you talking about business, think about it. If your business, I'm not saying everybody on here is a business person, everybody's an entrepreneur, but if your business manage the funds like you manage your personal finances, would you be productive? Would you be successful? Would you be at a positive cash flow or would you be filing bankrupt? That's the real question. I mean, think about it. The only reason why we mismanage our funds is because we don't really think that much of ourselves.
Wow.
If you really thought you was a king and queen, you would govern yourselves accordingly. Think about it. The kings and queens that I know of. They went to the priest. I'm getting biblical, yes I am. But they went to the priest and asked him how are we gonna get through this famine. And one of them said, "Hey, you got to store up some riches." He didn't say go spend it. He didn't say go finance some land. He said store up in the times of famine. One of my mentors says it like this: prepare for war in times of peace. Type that in the chat. Prepare for war in times of peace. See, you can't wait till we in a recession to try to store up for the recession. It's too late. It's too late. You you can't plan to go put gas in your car after you've already run out. It's too late. You stranded. But we do that with our finances. We wait till an emergency come up to think about an emergency fund. Hashtag emergency fund in the comments if you tracking what I'm putting down. See, you got to have a plan, and that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about financial planning. It's National Financial Planning Day. How many of y'all have a plan for your finances, or your money has a plan for you? How many of you have a plan for your finances, or your money has a plan for you? See, your money tells you what to do. I can prove it. I talked about this the other day, Brian. You know what I said? I said, if money wasn't an issue, and everything you needed, everything you wanted was like a blank check. You didn't have to ask, you didn't have to swipe no cards. Everything you went and asked for and needed, it just came to you without having to pay for it. Would you go to work? I want to
No.
see. I want to see some answers in the comments. I want to see. I want to see something in the chat. What we got out here in Facebook land and YouTube? Anybody? Yeah. Answer that question. If you didn't have to pay for nothing another day in your life, would you go to work? Brian said no. I say no. If you say yes, I want to know why. And it's not to dog you out or nothing like that, but it's to have a conversation. We are growing today. So if you want to chime in and come into the studio, definitely. If you want to get on the Facebook or YouTube and comment, I definitely want to see that. My legacy team, I love to see you come out. But look, the reason why I say no, and I'll let Brian answer as well. The reason why I say no is because I got other things to do with my time. See, time is valuable. And the more money you make, your time becomes more valuable. So you spend less time doing stuff that takes you out of your purpose and your gifting and more time to focus on you.
Mm.
I like to be, occupied. I like to be active, but I'm not gonna go to work just because I want to be there. No, there's other things that there's beaches of the world. There's places I haven't gone. There's family members I like to go chill with. I could be anywhere else besides work. Why would you want to be at work when money is no longer an issue? So that's Brian. Why would you say no?
Hey, well, yeah, Jason.
Yeah,
So, hey, yeah, hey, I'm glad you asked that question, Jason, because for me, hey, I want the time freedom to spend more time with, my children, and I want the time freedom to be able to go and see things I never done before without having work to be involved, like fishing, going to see my more mature people out there, and even learning things from different angles of the world. But more so in all, I want to be able to have time to be able to help expose more people that they can live a better life financially, because for years a lot of us been running the rat race of running after money. But in reality, our current lifestyle is already, paid for, and we should be having money doing work for us. And that's where I'm at when it comes to that aspect of it, because at the end of the day, it's written on the wall what's for me. It's and we gotta be here, be able to help lead these new leaders into the future that they can live a long, fulfilling life without being a worker bee and running themselves down the ground. That's just my take on it.
hey, right. You said it. You said it again, Brian. You spot on. See, the thing is, most people work to pay the bills. They don't work because they have to. I mean, they want to. They work because they got to pay the bills. So really, what keeps you I said it the other day. I have business partners, ladies and gentlemen, that go to bed when they tired and they wake up when they done sleeping. That's true time freedom. Whereas most people, because those bills are gonna be knocking on your door, you go to bed so you can wake up at a certain time so you can go to work so you can pay the bills. So really, you're not fulfilling your truest purpose in the most intimate ways. You're going to work to fulfill an obligation to pay some bills. So if money was no longer an issue, unlearn that you have to go to work. Relearn or learn that money is supposed to work for you harder than you work for it. I say again, money is supposed to work harder for you than you work for it. That's anything the IRS wants you to do, they give you an incentive for, Brian. We're not talking about taxes right now, but understand this. The government wants you to be married, so they give you a what? An incentive. The government wants you to have these vehicles that ride around on electricity, so they give you what? An incentive. They want you to own a home. They want you to have children. Everything they want you to do, they give you an incentive. Would you believe me if I told you? The government wants you to be an investor. You know why? I know, because they give you an incentive. The government says if you uh, have money making money for you, we're going to tax you least and give you deductions for it. Whereas if you are a W 2 employee, we're going to tax you the most. Now, to me, Brian, that just don't really make sense. But sometimes things don't make sense. Think about this. We go to work every day. You went 20 years in the military. I'm active duty. We go to work, right?
Thanks.
And we spend all day long working, sweat. You've been on some deployments. I've been on some deployments out there hot in the sun, blood, sweat, and tears, day in, day night, giving it your all. Correct.
That's a fact.
But here's the funny thing: you do all of the work. There was a there, there was a book I used to read
Uh-huh.
when I was a little kid in school. And
Yeah.
I think it was, I can't remember the title, but it had to deal with a little chicken. And
Okay.
a chicken was baking a cake, and she kept saying throughout the whole story, asking the duck, the dog, the cat, who's gonna help me go get the wheat? Who's gonna help me uh, mold the wheat and grind the wheat into a powder? Who's gonna help me knead the dough into some flour? Who's gonna help me basically bake this cake? And at the whole time, nobody wanted to help. But
Okay.
the end of the story, she says, "Who's gonna help me eat the cake?"
Oh yeah. I remember
Every,
the story.
Everybody was like, I'll help you eat it." And she was like, "No, you didn't help me go get the wheat. You didn't
Ooh,
help me put it together. You didn't help me mix it. You didn't help me bake it. You're not getting nothing."
yeah.
Why is it in our American society we do all the work and the government takes out a huge check, portion of the check before we even get it? A
Jason,
huge portion.
Jason, I wanna upfront Frank, even though I'm at the ripe young age of 42, I wasn't taught this in school.
Yeah.
I wasn't taught this by my parents. I had to learn this when I joined the awesome group called Extra Digit Movement. It just so happened I have an awesome mentor, Mr. Charles the Waymaker Ivory. I met him roughly 3 years ago, and he changed my whole dynamic of the way I looked at how, to work the whole deal with money. Now, what's so crazy about what you're saying right now is this. I said the same thing. I was like, I'm the one getting up for PT early in the morning at 5 something in the morning. I'm the one got to make sure I be at this urinalysis. I'm the one got to go do these deployments. I'm the one that got to go make sure these soldiers are getting out of their bunks to be ready for the greatest nation, greatest army and nation in the world. But the biggest thing of all, what I learned through that whole process was this: I was living off of the ideology of people that I admire growing up about how I dealt with my finances. When in reality, the people that I admired about my finances at the time, they wasn't even taught the right way about their finances. So when it came to the money piece, I had to seek that knowledge. Now, don't get me wrong. I had a lot of good mentors grooming me along the way. You know, some cousins, of course, my mom and my uncle, stuff like that. But still, they did what they did to survive. Now, survival is a good skill. But why should you be out here trying to survive when you got the whole blueprint of how you can win forever with the secrets that the secrets and the knowledge we've been dropping on them with that formula, cash asset, cash formula brought to you by income shifting. That's the first thing of it. So, Jason, that's my take on it. I don't want to go too deep, get too deep and go off course, keep you on perspective, but that's my take.
Yeah, and that's good, man. That's good. I appreciate your input as always. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we're just trying to share information, not taught in schools, sharing with people about on this, sharing people wealth topics on this National Financial Planning Day. Hey, it's Wealth Wednesday. Why not talk about finances?
I'm telling you.
Why not talk about finance? So, real quick, I'm gonna go to another uh, clip. Try to pull this one up. See if we can do it. I want to talk about infinite returns. See, a lot of us talk about
Yes.
wealth and different topics of that nature, but we never really talk about our investments and what they really do for us. I talk to a lot of people, they don't really know how much their stocks are gaining them, and they don't know their rate of return. They know 401k, the boss is possibly matching them at 3%. Well, the question I constantly ask them, what is 3%? Or what is that 3% being matched on? Like, how much is that? Nobody can tell me. I say, it's your money. You should know how much it's growing, right? And if it's not growing, you should be able to tell your employer that I need my money growing for me. But most of us don't really talk like that. Most of us don't really think about that stuff. So let me pull this up. Again, I apologize for not being able to flow like I wanted to as a slideshow. Just now learning this StreamYard. I'm liking it, but I got some stuff I need to learn as well. Uh, all right, so you should be able to see my screen as it pertains to, yeah, okay, I can see it. You can see that too, right, Brian?
Awesome. I can see it, Jason.
All right, so we want to talk about infinite returns. Now, there's no real, I guess you could say, hidden secrets because you're seeing everything on the screen at one time. But look at this. I want you to look at this screen and look at the different investors. Let me see if I can blow this up so y'all can see it a lot better. All right, there we go.
Wow, beautiful.
So
Yes.
I think y'all may recognize a lot of these different individuals to the left, these investors to the left, like Sam Walton, Bob Johnson, Warren Buffett, Reed Hastings, Oprah Winfrey, Sam Walton. We're talking about Walmart here. But look at this. What we about to break down is how a little money up front, partnered up with compound interest, equals serious gains. Serious gains. See, if you're not, I talked about this the other day. Let me get to the eyeballs on this one. I talked about this the other day, and what I said was is that when you talk about investments, you have to understand that compound interest is like the eighth wonder of the world. You're either going to be paying it to somebody or someone's going to be paying it to you. You want to be on the latter side, not on the previous. You want compound interest to work for you, not against you, which comes back to understanding that money is a tool. It's supposed to work for you. We've been taught too long that we're supposed to work hard for the money. That was good for back then, but your money's supposed to work harder for you than you work for it. And when you do that, the principles, the laws, the way everything works, things start moving faster and you have more momentum. And that's what we're talking about. So get back to this screen. So here it is, a small investment. We're talking about a small, generous, a small investment, right? Look at this. Sam Walton. What did he do? He took $25,000. $25,000. It's not a lot of money. It's a lot back then, but it's not a lot of money today. But what was he able to do with that? Turn $25,000 into a 205 billion with a B dollar profit. So what is that rate of return? We talking about 25,000 to a $205 billion asset. That's a rate of return that totals 8,200,000%. Annually, you're looking at 146,429% rate of return. Return on investment, my bad. That's over the next 56 years. Now, look, most, I'm not saying most, some of us don't make it to 56 years, but think about that. He was in a ripe age, and for 56 years on after, he was basically getting a return on his investment 146,000%. Let's get to Bob Johnson. Invested $15,000 and created a $2 billion empire. That rate of return, you're looking at 133,000%. You divide that up in a 40-year time frame that he had that business, that's 3,333%. These are some pretty high rates of return. And definitely some annual return on investment, some high return on investment. The banks are only giving us 0.01%. These individuals, and I'm gonna keep going, invested in themselves and started something new in a market that said we need this and created infinite returns. Warren Buffett. We already know who Warren Buffett is. If you don't know, he's one of the richest men in the world. Just put $2.5 billion down over in a place we like to call Antelope Valley. built a solar transit system going from Los Angeles to Las Vegas and a couple of other places in the southern region of California, you know. But he took $100,000 and got a rate of a total ROI was $85 billion. That's a nice asset. That rate of return, you're talking about 850,000% with a return on investment at 17,000. I'm like, you're saying these numbers, but I'm not getting it. Understand this. It takes money to make money. And when you freely give it, you shall freely reap. And what these people are showing us is that, I mean, the lowest one on here so far has been 15,000. They're turning 2 billion. Do you have $15,000 that you like to let go and actually create more friends and bring back with it $2 billion? I know I do. Brian, what about you?
Hey, I'm all on board for it.
Let's skip straight down to Oprah Winfrey. Everybody know who Oprah is. Believe it or not, she wasn't even liked when she first got started. But she took about $2,000 and created a $3 billion asset.
Wow.
Think about that. Now she
Amazing.
has her own company, her own television show. Her rate of return with that $2,000, look at this, 1,500,000%. That's a annual return on investment of 37,500% over 40 years. Most Americans, Brian, most Americans have $0 in savings.
Wow.
If they had some, they took it out because they needed it. It wasn't really a savings account. It was an extended vacation purse. It wasn't immediately right there next to them. They had to go transfer some funds from the savings to the checking so they have enough money. And they did that. Some of us do that so we can have some kind of management. But when you have $0 in your account, there's nothing. There's nothing to invest.
Nah, not at all.
$500 in checking, $0 in savings. That sounds like a disaster waiting to happen.
Facts.
A disaster waiting to happen. That money in the bank may get you 0.01%. At the most, right now, it may get you it may get you 0.01%. It definitely won't even get you 1%. But look at this. Let's use Bob Johnson's example, and I'm gonna show you something. Show you how we break this down. Let me stop sharing and then show you what it really boils down to. Let's see here. I'm gonna have to shrink it down a little bit so y'all can see it. All right. Okay. Here we go. So using Bob Johnson and the formulas. So again, total return on investment divided by your initial investment equals your return on investment. So take $2 billion. That's how much he got. That's how much his profit was. $2 billion and divide that by 15,000. He spent 15,000 to build this empire, created $2 billion in profit. That equals 333%. When you look at that and you want to know your annual return on investment, you got to take the total rate of returns over the number of years, and that equals your annual return on investment. So we're gonna take the 133,333% over 40 years, because that's how long it took to get to that point. That equals 3,333%. None of those numbers mean anything to any of us. It don't. I know. Hold on a second. Let me get some of this. Now I got some burrito ramen over here sizzling. You ever had burrito tacos, Brian?
Nah, I haven't, Jason, but I can only imagine that, man, is an awesome thing that you got over there. Because that last venture we ate before you left, man, that was awesome with those lobster rolls, man.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It was. But here we are. Let's look at some numbers because I know all that's like these are old people. It's not me because I used to be like that. I'm like that ain't got nothing to do with me. But tell me
Facts.
this. Tell me this. Do you have at least most Americans, although they hate to admit it, they got at least $250 that they can invest in themselves. Think about it. In today's economy, you don't have $250, then you are doing something wrong. Because shoes cost about $100. You mean tell me you can't pay for enough shoes? My family went out to eat the other day and it was $118 at Olive Garden. That's 2 trips to Olive Garden.
Wow.
Well, there's more than that because I had to add a tip on there. So you telling me you got 250? A person on the streets can figure out a way to make 250. We are exceptional creatures, highest in the food chain. If we want something bad enough, we know how to go get it. Think about it. So take $250 using this all everything we talked about in infinite returns. If you got a return back of $250, did you know that's 100% return on your investment? 100%. People get caught up in how much they invested and don't really think about smaller numbers still can equate to high rates of return. If you put $10 in there and you got $10 back, you got all your money back. Now look, Brian, we was at let me get to eyeballs. We was at Las Vegas not too long ago. I don't
Facts.
gamble, but I know a lot of people do. So if I was going in with $10 and I came back out with $10, 10 more dollars, I would say I gained money. Yes, true, false.
Yep, you did.
If I went in with $100 and I came back out with an additional $100, I gained some money.
You did.
If I went in with $100 and came out with 200, I made extra profits.
Yes, you just
The,
double your money.
the thing is, you got to understand that no matter how much money you invest, if you get all your money back, you're still in good standings. If you make more than that, you're even in better standings. So when you talk about $250 and you made 250 with 250, now you got $500, but you got 100% return on your investment. Let's go further. $250 and you got 2,500. That's 1,000% return on investment. 2,500 may not seem like a lot, but that's 1,000%. 1,000%. Let's talk about 25,000. That's 10,000%. 250,000. That's 100,000%, and all the way up to 2,500,000. That's a 1,000,000% increase. 1,000,000% return on your initial investment.
Wow.
Now, most of us are probably looking at me and like, okay, that's great, that's good, but how do I get that? It's not hard. I showed y'all on the first segment where the banks are hiding all the secrets. I showed y'all. We even went to on the it was a video that I showed about how the banks went over on us. It shows you that the banks only give out pennies on the dollar, but yet they make 12%, 20% off the money that you are borrowing from them. In another video that I don't have it right now, it breaks down the fact that you can literally find investments that'll grow your money at 15%. But you know what you need to have? Gotta have a little cash.
Whew. Just a little cash, baby.
You gotta have a little cash. See, we believe in the extra digit movement. Number one wealth formula: cash, asset, cash. We believe that if you take some cash, purchase, build, or grow an asset, that asset would generate more cash. That will be the key to get you to your financial destiny. But most of us have a problem with that first part of the formula. We don't have a lot of cash.
Mm-hmm.
So in the next, at 1:30 p.m. Central, 2:30 p.m. Eastern, I'll be coming back on here and I'll be giving you an overview on our cash, asset, cash formula and how we can show you that we have a company that shows you how to take the cash you have now, turn your home or apartment into an asset to produce more cash to get you to where you want to go. Look, we got business partners that purchase land in the Path for Grow in Southern California. We have business partners that have bought land and rental properties over in Kabul. We have business partners building houses from the ground up. I'm talking 6,000 square feet with a 2,000 square foot attachment. Yeah, detachment. We're talking about 3 now 4 years old with their own investment accounts. See, in the extra digit movement, we don't want you to just leave a legacy. We want you to live it. So we're gonna be talking about that in the next 20 minutes. I'm gonna come back on 1:30 p.m. Central, 2:30 p.m. Eastern. Hey, y'all be blessed. Hey, Brian, thanks for joining me for this segment. Hey, we're gonna come back and give it to him again.
Hey, solid.
All right, y'all be blessed. Peace.